Hello, hello. I have the amazing Rick on, the Tarot Fellow, and we were having a delicious conversation and decided to invite this conversation to be extended beyond us, or that you can voyeur and listen in on it. I've had a lot of questions about the Lionsgate portal, like what does it mean and what do we do during it? And am I doing an event? No, I'm not doing an event. And as we were talking about, well, why wouldn't you do an event? And we started our conversation, it was like, oh, well, it makes more sense of why the Lionsgate portal isn't a public, expansive giving your energy somewhere.
I'm not an astrology genius, right? And I think I might need an astrology genius to explain these things to me, or somebody who works kind of in that alien realm, right? Because there is some of that energy that I've always felt at play here, but I don't need to understand all of the reasons behind what Spirit says, right? Spirit knows that they can tell me no without having to explain. And this is kind of what's happened here. So years ago, I had heard about the Lion's Gate, and I had approached Spirit about, well, what should I do and what kind of ritual should I hold? And they said, nothing. They want me to completely ignore it. And that's so backwards. I know I'm backwards from a lot of spiritual people pretty often. I think you are
I
too,
like your
right?
backwards.
Yeah. Because you hear so much about it and everybody talks about how it's great for manifestation and all of these things. But
And to open
uh,
yourself up and bring it all
yeah,
in.
I think, Holly, that there is something about the rising of Sirius, right? There's something specific about Sirius in relation to this, that in conjunction with that portal is this incredible gift from whatever beings are in that Sirius star system. And I do think that it is meant for manifestation and giving of energy. But when something gives you energy, you then are supposed to receive energy, right? And to me, that feels very internal, like I'm going into myself and I'm allowing the receiving of this energy. And this is why I need my star people, because there is something else in the Orion system. And I just recently learned that as Sirius rises, the Orion's belt points to the Sirius star. And I didn't know that till today.
I haven't heard that. Well, and it's
After we
interesting
talked.
because if we take that a little bit more literal, because I'm also not an astrologer, but I am an energy body and physical body and collective emotional energy master. Like I can say that. I feel like I've 20 years, I can say that. And so if we look at the physical body of the fact that it's called Orion's belt, it's that middle section, it's your solar plexus, it's where your core energy source comes through. And so when we do energy work, it comes through the solar plexus. And when we cut off our heart or our sexual centers, it actually cuts off that core source. And then we're just
Mm.
operating on autonomously. Like, oh, I love you, love you, love you. Or, oh, well, play with this energy or not play with this energy below because I'm cut off in the center and they're not communicating. Um, it's interesting that they point in Sirius. I always laugh. I'm like, oh, that's my star. Not that I'm the
Yeah.
only person on the planet revolves around me, but if we're all gods and we're all creating, then yes, that's also true. But when I first realized that stars had colors other than yellow and white, that they actually would flash in rainbows, it was serious. And it woke me up in the night. And I look up and it's literally flashing these rainbows through my window. And I was like,
Mm.
I don't know what you are, but oh, okay. And then I got out my little app and I was like, oh, it's serious. Huh. For
Yeah.
serious? We're serious. And and I have all these jokes around it. But the actual Lionsgate portal, what we were talking about earlier, it changes depending on your geographical location, depending on what your latitude is. So you, where you're at in St. Pete, is only 3 degrees different from Cairo in Egypt.
Wow.
So you could almost map your star system with Egypt when it comes to the latitude.
Wow.
Where I'm at in Utah, we're at 37 degrees. So and you're at 27 and Cairo's at
Mm.
30. And
Mm.
so I'm 10 degrees later. So let me know what goes on the stars there, and then
Yeah.
I'll follow up here. So for you, the Sirius portal, where it pointed, was August 5th.
Yep. So I
Um,
missed it. Like, so if I'm doing an event today, right, and this kind of gets into the conversation we were having earlier, I really feel like there in that Orion system, there's something that is a taker of energy. And it is taking energy that we would generate from our solar plexus, the emotions like anxiety and anger and all of those gut wrenching kind of things, right? And if we're turning around and offering those kinds of things, even if we're trying to get rid of them ourselves, like we're getting them out of our body, but we're offering them to this particular spiritual thing going on over there,
this
then
parasitical feeder
yeah,
of
then we're
energy.
feeding, yeah, we're feeding something that isn't in alignment with the receiving energy that should be happening. So there's kind of this distortion around this particular event that's bothered me for years, and I haven't messed with it for years. And I have had a lot of people this year message me where I've told them, like, it's going to make you feel anxious and angry. You're going to feel like people are speaking over you or speaking for you. And here I am doing it for people. Like, uh,
Way to mirror and help us
yeah,
to activate those unhealed parts. Appreciated.
yeah. So, if you don't agree with me, great. But if like these things are kind of making you upset or, then it's like that's the distortion that's trying to feed off of that. And that does get delivered back to us in that receiving channel. And I think that, it does create things like division and unrest and war, famine, and pestilence, all those things.
And all the judgments, and I'm right and you're wrong, and my way is the way, and my truth is only truth. Yeah. I especially find it interesting that a lot of the people in my circles, especially my world, because we find the unhealed pieces, we find the emotions, we release them. Like that's literally what we do is release, rebirth, and activate the positive coming in, but clearing things out, clear out the shit. There's been a lot of emotion, even in myself. Like I found myself in a few days ago in this space of the world is being killed by humanity. What are we going to do? Then the mountain literally cracks and starts tumbling stones, and there's this unearthing and this cracking open. And there was a lot of intense emotion. And yes, it was mine, and it was also other people's, and moving all of that. So, those of us who may be tapping into this without realizing we're tapping into this and what it is not, probably have been feeling extra anxiety and emotions leading up, clearing things out unconsciously as our vessel is getting ready to receive. And
Mhm.
so if you're still in the clearing out space, I would recommend like doing it now and then going into the receive space.
Yeah, I really feel like this energy is perfect for transmutation. Like I feel like I am releasing these emotions from my body, but I'm keeping them for myself in my field to then transmute into something else, right? It's not an offering. No, not now, right? After this
Mm.
is all done, I will purge and clear. But for now, let's play with transmutation because that's fun.
Yeah, because transmutation is taking the raw energy, and energy is not destroyed. And emotional energy, especially, is either positively charged or negative charged, not good or bad charged.
Mhm.
And so, if you see a negative charge, you can create a neutrality, and then you can positively charge it with a new imprint, new information. And that is transmutation. Like, okay, I'm going to take this pain and I'm going to understand it. Okay, now I'm going to reprogram this raw energy that I've generated, all this attention that I've given it, which anything we give attention to creates manifestation. So if we give attention to the Lionsgate portal being our opening and we receive downloads, then yeah, that's what you're going to get because millions of people are going, the Lionsgate portal will be the time when we get all these downloads. And so that feeds the entity in itself. But if we also look at the 8-8 significance, because 8 is the number of unconditional love. And like in that number, you have the circle, that little symbol,
Yeah.
the
One, Miss
8
Scott.
on its side, the infinity symbol. I'm like, what's the
Yeah.
name of it? The infinity symbol. It's because the Schumann resonance is like going crazy right now. So my 3D isn't working so well. But you have the infinity symbol. And if you look at the infinity symbol, it's transmutation. You come up with one cycle, you have a center point where all the connections, positive and negative, meet, and then you loop it in a reverse or backwards way, and then you meet again, and then you loop it again and you meet it again. And so it's revisiting these layers, but nothing is ever out or released. It's more of understanding and repurposing and changing direction.
I love the idea of like the atom, right? Where you have the positive and negative particles and they come together to create a neutrality, right? And so if you're having these negative emotions, bring in those positive ones to create a neutrality first, right? And keep coming back to that neutrality until the time when that can build and build and build and build and then be purposed, right?
Yes.
But don't
Well,
purpose it now.
and the Lionsgate portal is centered around anytime we have a portal, there is an opening and there's a transition, right? So if we even take the infinity, you have the two circles and then the opening, right? So you're transitioning from one state to another state, but where are you traveling to or who's traveling to you? And in the middle of that is the neutrality. So I like to look at it as you have the past and you have the future, and then that present is that center point. And that's neutrality. Like, okay, whatever's in the past is in the past, whatever's in the future is in the future now for present. So for my 8-8 Lionsgate portal, I'm going to focus on being present as possible, like having some bliss in whatever I have. And rather than calling in and manifesting and looking to the future and jumping through the portal or processing the past and missing the portal, going into that present state. They even call it the Lion's Gate, and we have the full moon, which is like showing us everything in fullness that we've created. But I love the lion symbology too, because when you see depictions of the Lionsgate portal, there's always two. Have you
Mhm,
noticed?
mhm,
Because you have the future and the past, you have the masculine and you have the feminine, and you have them coming together. But the lion also represents nurturing, protection, courage, the heart. And so having your heart come in and say, what do I actually enjoy? What is my heart actually speaking to me? Instead of, oh, what do I need to do? Or what do I need to, like, we get so in our heads about this doing or becoming or doing a ritual just right. And what if the ritual is literally sitting in the dirt looking at the trees?
yeah. Whatever it is that brings you to yourself. Yeah. Eight in tarot and the lion in tarot, right, is the strength card. And that's huge to teach us about like what strength really is, which is about mastering those internal lions or those internal base human emotions, right? So to figure out how to control things like the anxiety, the anger, lust, whatever that happens to be, that like strength teaches that in tarot, and it's coming out now, right? It's being brought up in that light of that full moon. But it isn't about putting that out there. It's about learning to tame the beast within, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
And you did say control, so I'm going to speak up about there is no control. We don't want
Sure.
to control our lusts. We want to explore them and see why they're there and understand them and do something with that lustful energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I like
So
that.
I'm like, the more we try to control, especially in this window pocket, because we're also in the Mercury retrograde where things are taking longer, technology is not working well. Like we're being hit with like 5 different elements coming at us all at once.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
when there's a whirlwind of chaos, the only thing you can do is find the eye of the storm and find that center. Because it's actually really calm in the center. Everything can be chaotic and falling apart and mountains tumbling down, but like here I am in the dirt with my tree.
Yep. Exactly.
And I feel like I love that you speak to these beings, the Syrians or angels or whatever you call them. You know, they are coming in and giving us that extra nourishment, especially when there's that aloneness has been coming up a lot for a lot of us, I think. Just feeling perpetual loneliness, like crowded room of people and I'm all alone. I'm in this room full of hippie healer people and drummers, and I still feel kind of alone. And yes, we are alone, but there are these beautiful beings that help to nurture and support us. And even just being present and allowing ourselves to feel their presence can nourish us a lot too, I feel like, because they can see what we can see that maybe the world is blind to. I also feel like with the extreme movements that have been happening on the planet energetically, the cosmos, there's been a lot of speed, things speeding up. processes speeding up and timelines shifting and feeling like we're jumping into future versions of us really, really fast. But the 3D, it almost seems like it's lagging. Loading, please hold. Loading, please hold. Loading, please hold. Loading, please hold. And I've had a lot of, I mean, we've talked about 3D things, and I'm seeing it a lot where it's like action, 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 action. Wait, where are my results? It's like lag, lag,
Yeah.
lag. And so I
But
think allowing that presence is going to help with some of that lag and understanding that patience piece.
I think that lag is that neutral point that we need to sit in and be in, right? I mean, you've got all this action going on, but maybe that lag is be present, right? Just be present with what it is. Yeah.
Trust that what you desire is already coming. It just
Yeah.
is not coming at this speed that we expect. And I have heard this from several people where they're like, oh, I'm going to manifest this on the Lionsgate portal. And then I have this set on this date and this set on this date because I'm going to do it. I'm clear. I'm ready. And boom, here it comes. And I'm like, I don't know if it's a boom, here it comes just yet.
Right. Right.
I really like that visual because that's what it feels like.
I hear you.
And and in my world, I get interrupted 15 times a day by the most wonderful little human grandbaby. And that's what my day's like. Action, hold, please. Oh, action, hold, please. I need to sit and play with toes. Oh, hold, please. I need to sit and watch him play with his trucks. Hold, please. I thought I was going to eat, but I'm waiting to see if he'll eat my food instead.
But what a good moment to just take a breath and be present with it, right? Yeah.
And, if you have a hard time being present, I'm not a meditator. I know it surprises people. I'm like, I do meditate, but I'm not a meditator. I don't just sit and go, I
Mhm.
sit and look at the trees and watch the birds. I touch the bark. I need to have an active meditation. I drum. And so allowing ourselves to have the space where we can be doing something softly, because even if you're softly, slowly, actively doing something, you're still moving forward because you're still being present. And it doesn't have to look rushed. It doesn't even have to have an outcome.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. With the full moon, I also feel like it's beneficial. I love your view of the full moons with the full moon is when all the light is here and then it's going into the darkness. Anything you want to share on that?
It is that time of transition, I guess. You've built up to something when the full moon is coming from the new moon to the full moon. And now, I mean, it just goes back to the same theme, right? Now you've built it up and it's here and the light's there and you're seeing things. And now it's time to like be with that and be present with that as that light then begins to fade and you get to go into another cycle of freaking out because it's dark, right?
It's dark. Oh no, back in the womb.
Yeah,
Yes. So, yeah, I feel like finding some way to enjoy what is coming up, because a lot of times I think we think, oh, look at all these problems I need to release, release, but we can get over released if we don't have
right.
enough bliss. And, we can only process so much.
And if we're not allowing ourselves to receive, if we feel like we're constantly having to make offerings, yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah. So I feel like our consensus is to definitely take some time to receive comfort, receive the sunshine, receive the stars, receive even just the stillness of existing. And
yeah. And if you're feeling like you shouldn't be called to participate in some event or do something big or grand, right? Like pay spirit's telling you no, and that's okay. Like trust that, trust yourself.
And I
Yeah,
do know lovely souls doing some really powerful events. And I highly recommend going and going with the intent of receiving. Because if you already felt called to it, I know they felt very inspired on it. And,
yeah,
there is that space of being able to hold the space for the group collectively to receive. And maybe it's just that I give so much all the time that I'm like, no, I get to receive too. And so I love that they are doing it so that others can show up and receive. So allowing yourself to go and be in the space of receiving rather than the pressure and the angst of, I have to go and heal this and figure this out and I have to go release, go to receive. And even in that receiving, a lot of times we release things that we were carrying that we didn't even need to carry. We just don't realize until we feel nourished. Like, here's your beautiful, nourishing dinner. Do you really want to eat that cotton candy now? No, I'd rather have the nourishing dinner, but I thought I needed this. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the givers tend to constantly want to be giving, and they do these kinds of ceremonies and hold space for people in order to give, right? And then when you go with that intention to receive, it almost feels selfish or something like that, right? And when you host an event with the intention of people receiving, like there's something in our psyche, in our ego that has issues with that sometimes, right? But this is like the perfect time to give yourself permission to just be. And whether you give or receive or nothing at all, yeah,
And even if you are facilitating others receiving, to go with the intent that you are also receiving. Because, as someone who's facilitated hundreds of events, I do receive a lot every single time.
right,
And allowing yourself to go in that space of, I am also receiving. I am also receiving. And it's a really beautiful unspoken gift in facilitating.
yes,
So want to make sure that everybody feels like they can receive, because it's true, no matter what you have planned. But really to allow yourself to tap in. I've decided one of my receiving is painting. I love the state of meditation I go into when I paint and the energies I play with. So what I'm planning on painting, possibly it will be going to somebody later who will receive, and it is a give, but the experience of creating it is my receiving. And
yeah,
so I'll definitely be doing some of that, but maybe I'll paint for just me too.
yeah. I love that. And again, if you are creating now, you do have the option to hold that space and that creation and that point, right? Until this time has passed where then you can get back out into the storm and the rush and the outside. So yeah. Mhm.
Or maybe your perspective completely changes and then you learn you can receive as you give constantly and you don't have to go back into the rush.
Completely.
I feel like that's a lesson Spirit is teaching me, how to slow even more. And I thought I slowed down a lot, but it's like slow even more, slow even more. So
100% agreed.
not easy.
No, it's not.
I feel like I was born with this sense of urgency that there was a lot to do. Like I couldn't wait till I was an adult, couldn't wait to have a family, couldn't wait to get to this point. And it was just like this sense of urgency. I needed to see it all and do it all and experience it all. And now I'm getting guided to, there is no hurry. There is no time even. Like we can tap into the Sirius rising on August 5th for you and go into that energy right in the second.
Right.
So, and when we understand that, then we don't have to limit ourselves with the, what's the word I'm looking for?
3D pausing Earth.
Er, yeah, that's exactly what's happening with my brain. Oh, you get me. Some of us love to be loved and others just love to be understood. I'm an understood. So I love that. Thank you. I'm receiving the understanding love.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was all of a sudden I was sitting here and I was like, oh, I can't think clearly, and my head just feels hot. And I was freezing earlier today, and then all of a sudden I'm sweating and toasty. So I checked the Schumann Resonance, and it's white
Going
hot.
bonkers. Yeah, well, I mean, bad energy is starting to go.
All the bad
People.
energy. Yes. Yeah. Because, yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's have a chat after my brain comes back. Oh, it's not coming back right now. We're just going to be in the energy.
Yep. Yep. That's what we need to do anyway, right?
Yeah. But I was going to say the common popular time frame when we are collectively offering things, because there is anything that the collective energy or the masses are giving energy to, we can tap into that frequency, but we also don't have control or guidance over what the frequency brings in. We're just jumping into the thread and or the river of consciousness. And so the more we can be in our sovereignty and in our own experience and our own vessel and what it is we receive for us, the more we know what we have access to rather than jumping into what everybody else is accessing, which may not even be for us.
Mhm.
So,
That's the definition of empowerment in my mind, right?
yeah, not control, but it is guiding what we get to experience.
It's empowerment, not control.
Yes. Those who would control you would tell you have to do it this day, this time, look like this. Here's your ritual. Here's the things you say. And if you don't do it right, well, you're just
Yep.
going to have a messy chaos. And it's like, nope.
So be backwards like us.
Be backwards. I really like backwards. I think a lot of us do. We just don't realize it. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. It's so good to chat with you. And hi, everybody.
Same. Happy Lionsgate!